program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Pan side, so I want to just have a little look around. There's lots of deep gullies here, lots of drainage lines and guarri thickets. The perfect place for a leopard to have found a place to nap in this bright sunshine. It is actually quite warm today. Other than if the wind wasn't blowing, we would be sweating, I think, because the sun feels like it's quite warm, but it definitely, the wind is just keeping things a little bit cooler. So it is nice weather, and hopefully that means that little Shongile has found somewhere to lie down and rest and to take it easy. So I'm just really going very slowly because I want to check on the edges of the road here to see if maybe she didn't come further north. The last track I had of her was directly south of where I am now, so hopefully we can find her here. Hopefully she hasn't gone too far. I believe it was Ali who found her on the way out this morning, and she managed to see her coming north hunting squirrels. So I'm going to try and see if she maybe was successful in her endeavors. Now, while I look around and try and search and see what's happening, let's go across to Miss McCurdy so she can say hello to all of you. I'm sure she's dying to say hello after keeping quiet for the morning. Typically means that she will have a lot to say in the afternoon.
I feel as though it is so windy I'm going to have to shout so that you can hear me, but we're looking at a beautiful Waterbuck. We are at Treehouse Dam. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Craig, and as Tristan has already told you, this is a live and interactive safari, so remember to hashtag Safari Live with all of your questions. Now, it is not very pleasant at all out here today. We actually have to be quite careful when the wind is strong like this for trees against the road, because they can quite easily blow over, and the wind is almost strong enough that if we're not careful we could have a branch or two land on the car. I've actually been on a safari once where a tree is blown right in front of my vehicle, and I also know somebody who's had a tree blow over and across and land on the hood of their car. Now, this Waterbuck that we're looking at, unfortunately, is not the happiest today, and that's because, as most of you know, the animals don't enjoy the wind very much. So he's just sort of trying to find a nice sheltered spot, and I think he's actually done a very good job here. Waterbuck, as their name suggests, are water-dependent animals, and they also often use water to try and escape predators. So I think we know that there's no crocodiles in this dam. We haven't seen them, and I've had a scan. There's just a couple of terrapins around. So the way that he's put himself between water and a semi-open area that's also down in a dip, so it's slightly sheltered, means that he really only has to look the direction that he's looking now. You see that? He's just got to keep his eyes open there, and if anything, nothing's going to cross the water to get to him. Well, not in this particular area. And if he does feel as though he needs to run away, he could quite easily dash through Treehouse Dam. I think it's quite clever, actually. But he's very attentive. I can't imagine he's having a great day. He must be quite stressed at the moment, quite panicked, not being able to hear. anything that's going on. I mean, I could have a lion roar a kilometer away from me, and I don't know if I was upwind from that roar, I probably wouldn't even hear it. It's gusting that much today. Actually, it would be quite interesting to find out how much the wind is gusting today. Maybe Alice, can you ask maybe Chantal? Oh, Chantal's back as well, and Innocentia. Welcome, ladies. Welcome back. It's good to have you home. They've just come back from their holiday, but maybe we can put Chantal straight to work this afternoon. Laurie, you've said that you've suggested flying kites. Remember I said I was going to try and make a kite? Oh my goodness. I don't actually have the equipment with me, but we'll see how it goes. If we find that it's looking a little bit quiet today, maybe we can head back to camp and we can try, and I'll get a couple of things very quickly. It won't take me long, and we can try and make a kite today. That could be quite cool, actually. How much fun would that be? So yeah, so as I was saying, if Chantal wouldn't mind trying to find out how much the wind is gusting, I might be able to find it on my mobile device. If I check my weather app, maybe it will tell me. I'm actually not sure. I never usually check what the weather is doing in winter, because typically we should just have, as we normally say, clear blue skies, not a breath of wind, normally beautiful, chilly in the mornings, but warm enough to put shorts and a t-shirt on during the middle of the day. But that hasn't really been the case for the past couple of days. Obviously we're still in shorts and shirts, so it's not cold, but you definitely do have to put a jersey on in the afternoon quite early. And I think if this wind is going to continue howling like this, we might have to put a jersey on sooner than we'd like, and I might have to do my hat up a little bit tighter too. Craig, I wonder what we're actually going to find today. Just check here. See, I didn't drive, so now I'm making sure that I check my usual spots where we normally look for tracks. Is that all? No, you see, I don't agree with that. So, really? Is it 5 meters or 5 miles? Meters? That per second? Oh, it is miles. Okay, so apparently it's 5 miles per hour, the wind. So what's that? That's okay. I thought it was maybe gusting a little bit more. I'm pretty sure the gusting speeds will be in excess of 40 kilometers quite easily. It's serious wind. Look at this bird. Bavokile, you're wondering if the wind helps with hunting for predators. Craig, the lilac-breasted roller up on top of the dead tree. That one's easier. I won't make you dive for birds in the bushes today. So you can see that this lilac-breasted roller is actually struggling. So yes, it is. I'm getting so distracted now with the birds and watching it almost fall off its perch. But wind most certainly helps predators. We might get lucky. Maybe the leopards and the lions would utilize this weather, even though the books say that the big cats typically don't like to hunt during the day. They prefer to hunt in the evenings when it's cooler. Hogwash. They do it all the time, especially the leopards. We see it so often, and last year we saw it so often with the lions taking down buffalo on the hottest of hot days. So absolutely. It's not to say that we're not going to see any cats. They could just still be around. We just need to figure out where they've been moving. But what we're going to do now is we're going to head towards Twin Dams. We'll have a look around there. Then we'll enter the Mulwati, where it'll be nice and sheltered, and hopefully find some things. Maybe a Nyala, maybe elephants, bushbuck, birds. But I'll send you across to Tristan, and he is still on the hunt for Shongile.
Well, we are indeed. I just came to check Gallego Pan very nicely to see if there wasn't any tracks for her there, but I can't find anything, and I can't find anything crossing north over Gallego Pan Road. So I'm going to try and quickly shoot back to where I had the last tracks. Hopefully she just went off the road and decided to lie down somewhere there, and decided that there was a bit of shade under some guarri trees, because there's quite a few guarris, and then has now sort of rested in that area. That's what I'm going to hope for, and hopefully she'll be a little bit more active than what we saw from Tundi yesterday, because Tundi was fast asleep when we left her, and I was talking to the guys that stayed in the sighting. They stayed there for a further hour, and she did not move the entire time. So by 7 o'clock she was still sitting in the exact same position, still lying down sleeping, which is quite unusual. So I think Tundi was obviously very tired. She must have been all over the place in the last few days and needed a time out and a Friday afternoon in bed. pretty sure some people from Safari Live would have preferred to have done that than get up to late evenings like they did last night. Lorena, you would say you so love to see Shongile. Well, I would love to see her too, so hopefully we will find her. It is difficult where we are because it's a quite dense, thick area. It's not easy for tracking and looking for cats. There's a sort of gully system that runs down towards Gallagher Lodge, and if she's in there, the chances of being able to get there without being on foot and trying to track is going to be very difficult. So I'm hoping that she's just lying under a bush somewhere close by and I'll be able to find her fairly quickly. But we know with Shongile is that she moves around a lot. She's not a leopard that sits stationary for long periods of time. She generally is up and moving, and when Ali spotted her this morning, the tracks, well, she was moving around quite quickly, so she was hunting and chasing and going after things, which is generally an indication that she has probably carried that on for a while longer. I don't think she would have slowed down too quickly unless she was successful. So now I'm just quickly checking through this block. There's a big prominent game path heading straight to where her tracks were, so I'm trying to just follow up in this area. But there are some Nyala here and they seem fairly relaxed. They're not really making too much. Particular, that darker color goes into the sort of shade and then they disappear with the sort of spots and whites, and then the light legs that match the grass. Very, very perfect camouflage. There is a female around, but you can see they're not worried at all. They're busy ruminating, which means that they've been sitting here for quite a while. They're regurgitating food that they would have found during the course of today, and I doubt that they have seen a leopard anytime soon, because even us driving in here would have normally caused them to get quite sort of nervy and to be looking and checking to see maybe this leopard was somewhere in this section, and that's why they would then kind of perk up if we came in. But you can see they're not even looking really at us. Their ears are out every now and then, and well, they're still chewing, which means that it's an animal that is at perfect rest. So if Shongile did come this way, she either came here a long time ago, or she's lying down sleeping further south of us, and these Nyala have no idea that there is a leopard in this area. The wind currently is coming from our north, kind of southwards, and so it's the perfect wind to be blowing if she is on the southern side of them, because they won't pick her up from her scent either. But let's just carry on going forward a little bit, following this big prominent game path. There's, like I say, lots of nice shady areas, exactly like what the Nyala are doing. Shongile could be doing the exact same thing, so I'm hoping that she is here somewhere. Lusprey dog, you say Shongile was so cute the other day with Mvula and how she was being aggressive towards him and standing up for herself. Well, it was quite cute, wasn't it? And I suppose more than cute, it was great to see, because it's an encouraging sign as to whether or not she's going to be able to hold her own going forward. If she can stand up to a big male like that and sort of make a noise and show her teeth and show that she's not scared of going after him, then you're going to find a situation that she's probably going to do just fine in life. And maybe she's inherited some of her mom's genes, and that she's a little going to have that a little aggressive streak that will stand her in good stead in terms of trying to sort of keep other leopards at bay and forge a territory of her own. There's lots of little hidey holes for leopard here, so it's very possible that she could be here. I'm looking as we go. There's these little pathways, so you can see in front of me there's a pathway that just runs through the bush slightly over here, and those pathways, when you're tracking leopard or when you're looking for leopard, are the perfect places to check. So if we were on foot, we would check all of these and try and see if we can't find her track coming from there, and that's where she would have come from, just straight south of us, maybe slightly more to the west than where we are now, but we'll just have a look in case she kind of turned and carried on this way. Any tracks there? No tracks that I can see. I wonder if she's not sitting at James's tent. That would make James very happy if we went there and Shongile was on top of the tent somewhere, or sitting under the awning of the tent. Seems like the perfect place for a leopard just to take a nap would be where we are now. Like I say, there's a little drainage sort of gully that's running here. There's lots of shady areas and bushes that would be great for her to have found a place to nap. It is warm though, so I don't know if... Oof, we're not going to get through here. Now I've got to work out where we're going to go, because I don't think we're going to be able to get down here. Let's have a look. Nope, most definitely not. So we're going to have to try and turn around. I think we might be able to slide through here, Seb. We're going to have to just watch out. Oh well, 94. Hosana and Shongile, both of them are not old enough to breed yet. They, are not even 2 years old yet. And so we know with Karula, she had her first litter when she was just over 2 years old. And with males, most of them are only going to breed when they are normally around 4 or 5 years old. So it's going to be a long time for poor little Hosana. Shongile will already be able to breed a little bit earlier than that, but Hosana's got a long way to go before he's able to start getting into the breeding race and trying to start actually producing cubs. David, this is an interesting one, and I'm not sure I actually know the answer to that. You're asking me if... I think I've just got her tracks here. I'm just trying to see. It's so difficult in the substrate, but it looks like she went through this way. But David, her growing up with Hosana, maybe it has helped with her being able to deal with male leopards. The thing is that even though she might be a little female that's strong enough to deal with the male leopard, of Hosana's age, you must remember Anderson and Tingana and Mvula, they are 3 times the size of what Hosana was when Shongile was spending a lot of time with Hosana. So that's a very, very big weight difference, and so she might have been able to stand her ground with Hosana, but I doubt very much that she's going to be able to stand her ground with one of those big boys should they decide to get upset. Now I want to show you her tracks just so that you can see where she came from. They're just here in front, Seb. I don't know if you're going to be able to see them. So somewhere along there we should be able to pick them up. There we go. There's her track over there. So tiny little footprint of Shongile, and you can see there from today, not too much soil on top. It's been a very breezy day and windy day, which means if it had been sort of late yesterday or last night, we would have had quite a bit of leaflets on top and soil on top, which you can see that there isn't too much. So those are her little feet, and then she just turns up slightly to the west of us. So we were a little bit too far east. Now I'm gonna have to go back to the west and try and see if I can't find those tracks again somewhere this side. Now little Shongile, it would be nice of you if you came out for us. No, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. Okay, so tracks still go here. Maybe somewhere in this area is where we're going to find her. So she went up there and then into this thicket on my right hand side. So I'm going to try and just check in these quarry thickets just here, see if I can't see anything. Oh, there's a beautiful bird there. You see just in this buffalo thorn here, Seb? On the bottom side of the buffalo thorn on the left, so just over there somewhere, there should be a bush shrike hiding, an orange-breasted bush shrike. Look for down a little bit. There, straight in. Where are you now? A little bit to the left, a little bit up a bit. There it is. So just in the background there, Seb. You can just see it. So an orange-breasted bush shrike. Yeah, okay. There we go. So that is a beautiful bird, isn't it? Look at that burnt orange on the chest that gives it its name, and then that grey head and the yellow with the green olive wings. And these birds are some of our most colourful birds that we see in this area. They are very pretty, and you'll find them a lot in this kind of scrub. They like to get underneath into these thicker trees, and that's where they can camouflage very well. And it's got such a beautiful call that it basically says coffee, tea or me. That's its call. So I will try and find it for you shortly. If you just give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to try and find her, well, the call for this orange-breasted bush shrike. as well as try and look for shongile. We're multitasking this afternoon. That's what we're trying to do, and it's proving to be quite difficult at this stage. But let's see. So no, nothing here that I can see. Right, let me find the orange-breasted bushshrike quickly while we're here. There it is. Okay, so... No, man, come on. Why is it doing this now? Oh, man. This is what happens when technology fails you. You can't... There we go. Okay, so we've got it now. So this is its call. Which, to be honest, doesn't really sound like coffee, tea or me, but... Now, let's see. Shongi, where are you? Now, it sounds like Miss McCurdy, as you may have noticed since you've been with me for most of the afternoon so far, has been fighting with gremlins as best she can, and it seems like she's getting onto the winning front now. So let's go across to her and see where she's been and what she's been doing.
Yes, it seems as though the Mulwati gremlins, because we've got different types of gremlin species throughout the whole of Africa. In fact, they even invade Kenya sometimes, but we've left them. And what we've done is we've just stopped over here at this beautiful tree. Isn't it quite lovely? Now I'm just trying to actually work out if it is a knobthorn or if it is a blackthorn, because a blackthorn and a knobthorn look almost identical, same types of pods, same leaf structure. One of the key things though is that of course a knobthorn actually has knobs on it, so I don't think it is a knobthorn, I think it is a blackthorn, which is quite cool. Now they typically start to drop their pods around a similar time of the year, and it's very important, pods, for the various animals. I'll never forget, and I always speak about this, how the animals rely on the pods from the anna trees, Faidherbia albidea, I think that Latin name is for the anna trees, and they literally survive off of them because there's very little grass. Just as what happens in our winters, they lose all of the grazing, and they have to feed along the rivers, they have to come down to the rivers to drink every single day. There's not really any big dams like what we've got here. So pods for many different animals, for hippos, for monkeys, for birds, even some of the antelope species will pick up them. But like I said in the pre-show, my goodness, I think a lot of trees are going to be dropping leaves, pods, all sorts of things. It's a pity that there aren't any on the ground that we could have had a closer look at. Let me see if I can find one. It seems as though all the animals have eaten the pods. There wasn't actually any on the ground at all. Now, Justin, talking about the wind, you've said I could make a kite out of a leaf. I suppose I could. Perhaps we'll try and construct some kind of bush kite then. Maybe we won't go back to camp for materials. I'm just trying to think what's going to be thin enough that we can make a sort of string, a rope, to let the kite go. Because silver cluster leaf, I think, is going to be a little bit on the heavy side, in fact. So we need to find a very, very, very fine piece of bark. You know what would be really great is if we had the sisal, the agava trees. They have very good sort of fibrous bits to it. I can't talk today. I don't know what's wrong with me. And I'm just trying to think actually what I want to say. And that was really good. Just because it's so fine, it made great rope. A baobab tree as well. That would be a good one. I'm just trying to think. Out here we don't really have anything that's, like I said, as fine as that. Oh, here's a knobthorn. I want to show you the difference very quickly. It's a young one, but we'll have a look at it anyway. But Craig, right here next to you, this little thing. Just to show you the difference. You obviously saw the bark is also very similar on the blackthorns, just as it is on the knobthorns, but you can clearly see those little knobs now. So even the young ones get them. This one has unfortunately been dwarfed by what looks like elephants. Maybe Kudu and things are also responsible for keeping it short. It looks like it was snapped off at the top at one point. and elephants are notorious for doing things like this, and then it doesn't help when that tree is now broken and it's at the perfect sort of browsing height for Kudu, Impala, and other little antelope species as well. Sorry, we're going to call it a dwarf knobthorn now. What else do we got over here? Birding is going to be exceptionally difficult today. Oh my goodness, an insect. A grasshopper. It flew into the tree. I don't know if we're going to be able to find it now. That's virtually... Let me poke my nose off here. There it went. It's flown into the guarri tree now. I actually saw it move from this little leadwood and fly into the guarri, but that will be virtually impossible. I know it sounds silly that I just got excited about grasshopper, but we really haven't been seeing too many insects, just the occasional fly and mosquito every now and then. Other than that, it's been sort of quite quiet. We even watch the birds are struggling to try and find decent sort of insects to catch and eat. That would have been a good one for a hornbill. It was nice sized grasshopper. Well, Craig, you feeling hungry? Little protein snack, no? If you'd said yes, then I would have put more effort into going back and trying to collect it for you so you could eat it. We're going to have to go do some of those challenges when summer comes around again, and as punishments when we guess and try and guess where the animals are going to be and then are incorrect. I like that game quite a bit, actually. What's that? Nothing? We're heading slowly heading up towards Buffelshoek Dam. I don't know what we're going to find there. Perhaps at some point we might have to pop around and go to Chitwa. Hopefully it'll be sheltered down in the dam. Maybe we'll see something, because at the moment out here it's not looking too promising at all, in fact. I mean, the only bird we've really seen was that lilac-breasted roller that was holding on for dear life. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Well, Alice has just said that there's the wildebeest herd is on the dam camp, so perhaps we'll try and head back around towards them. They keep evading me, but I would like to spend some time with them, and on a windy day like today, it might actually be quite fun to watch the wildebeest running around. So, a conversation Craig and I were having a couple of minutes ago when we were driving through the Mulati, we were talking about fires. And we're saying how today would not be a good day for a fire to come through, because with this wind and with the state of the vegetation at the moment being so dry, what a nightmare. Everything would go up in flames. So I hope that we don't have any fires or anything like that. However, the bird sightings would be great. And the reason why I say that the bird sightings would be so good is just because the birds will often follow fires, because obviously the insects and things are trying to get away, so they fly up and out of the grass through the flames, and you'll see all sorts of birds coming down, diving and catching them, which is actually quite amazing to see. I have seen it a couple of times. I haven't seen it up in the north, but I've definitely seen it down in the south. There were a couple of fires down there. Now, a question from Steph and Jackie, and you're wondering when was the last rain. Well, typically our rain should end in around March, April, really pushing it into April. We don't normally get rain in winter. However, when I was on holiday, Tristan might be able to give a more accurate date as to when we had the last rain, but I remember on my last leave they actually had to put rain roofs on one of the days, which I thought was unbelievable. And we had a couple of spits, a couple of drops falling down on top of our heads the other morning, but that doesn't really count, I'm afraid. But so I think it was, what are we in now, July? I think it was June, the end of June, we had a bit of rain. It wasn't very much, but it was still rain. We had very late rains this year, and that's why there's still so much vegetation left in the bush. Normally at this time of the year, the middle of July, everything is much shorter, probably half the length of what the grass is now. But we're going to head towards Buffelshoek Dam. Who knows, we might find some naughty elephants, maybe a hippopotamus who's going to put on a show for us. Otherwise, we'll go back towards Voyatella Dam. I'm going to send you across to Tristan, who's hoping to find a young lass with spots.
I am indeed. I'm trying to find, well, not the youngest lass anymore. There's a younger lass in the form of Shadow's cub, so I'm going to try and see our second youngest lass that we have in this area, the little Shongile. But so far, no further signs that I can find. I'm I think it's going to be quite a struggle, and we might have to wait for a little bit later for it to cool down and hope that she's then moving and walking around. I'm going to go one more time down towards Gallagher Pan side, just check if maybe for some reason missed a track somewhere, but we'll check carefully there. If there's nothing, then I'm going to go around Wurtele camp and then come back this way and see what's happening. I did quickly just pop in at the hyena den in the case that was active and I could spend time and listen for alarm calls from there, but there's nobody at home. A little hot still, I think, and I'm sure we will see it active a little bit later. So I think our plan will just be to hang around this area, and eventually we should hopefully have success with either the den or little Shongile, so one of the two of them. Now in terms of rain, the last rain was on the 8th of July. That was the last time we had rain, and that rain was not very much at all. It was pretty insignificant. It was about 1 millimeter of rain, which is, I don't know if you can really count it as rain. In Hoedspruit there was a little bit more. It was actually very odd, because this time of the year, generally if we get rain, it's a frontal system that comes from the south, so from the Cape area, and the rain is very soft and overcast and drizzly if it does come. But that rain on the 8th of July was a massive thunderstorm, like what you would see, the likes of which you would see in the summer months normally, and so quite strange to have that sort of situation at this time of the year. But it wasn't very much rain at all, and really not enough to kind of wet the dust even. It was something that would have dissipated in half a day. So I'm just going to try and see. Definitely no sign that I can see from the angle that she was walking. She would have popped out right where we are now, and there is 0 tracks coming out of here. Even though she does have small feet that are sometimes difficult to see on a soft road like we have here, we shouldn't miss her tracks at all. And the chances of her crossing straight over and going into the bush is very slim. Generally with a leopard is that they'll go onto the road, walk along it a little bit, and then duck off it. So it's very seldom that you see them just running straight over, unless she was chasing something. But we would have then had the tracks of what she was chasing, as well as her running across the road, and there would have been big groove marks from an antelope species. So I surmise she is somewhere here, but this is what we're dealing with in terms of trying to find her. Is look at that grass. Now if she's lying down absolutely flat like Tandi was yesterday, there is little to no chance that we are going to spot her unless we are right next to her or right on top of her. And that's why I was doing a little loop through there just to check if she wasn't lying in the guarri thickets. But you can see that that's exactly the kind of place that a leopard would like to lie, and one that's going to make it very, very tough for us to find her. Now Geeky Beth, you were saying that she has very little paws and tracks. It is true, she does. She's probably got the smallest of our sort of independent females, if you want to call it that, by a long shot at the moment. Tandi and Shadow do have small feet, but not quite Shongile size. Shongile is very little, and then obviously Shadow's cub has got the smallest feet, and even those are starting to grow. Looking at their tracks the other day, and it's amazing how much bigger they are since the first few times we saw them. The first few times they were tiny, they were about that size in sort of roundness. Now they're about sort of that size, so they've almost grown a finger to thumb. That's not very scientific, but we'll use it anyway. Seb, you see any spots?
I'll check that.
Oh, okay. If anyone's going to spot the spots, it's Seb. Seb seems to have a knack for this. We drive around and then he's like, no, I saw something reverse, and then normally there's this cat lying there. So hopefully Seb has got his best eyes out today, and that he will spot little Shongololo for us. If we don't find her, Seb, it's your fault.
Okay.
Okay. Sphinx, you're asking for a giraffe because it's your favorite animal. Well, Sphinx, I shall certainly try my best to find a giraffe today. If I don't have any luck with one spotted creature, we might as well look for the tallest spotted creature. Hopefully that will be a little easier to find than the Shongololo that we are looking for at the moment. And so I will look around. Where we are around sort of Wurtele camp is not a bad place to look. They often do come down towards the dam at this time of the day for a bit of a drink. So if anybody's been watching the dam cam throughout the day today, maybe you saw a giraffe coming down, or you've seen some sort of signs of giraffe, and then you can let us know on #Safari Live. Now, still no sign of this little leopard coming out. I'm 100% sure that she's back inside that block that we were driving around in. and she could be in that drainage line. Like I say, maybe she's lying at James's tent. I should go and have a little look at the awning at James's tent. That would be a perfect place for a leopard to sit, because there's this awning that comes. So maybe she's sitting there and watching the ongoings of the camp. So we're going to carry on. We're going to try and see if... we're not going to carry on by ourselves. You guys are going to stay with us. You're going to carry on with us now. Because I thought we were going to go to Taylor, but apparently Taylor's still gremlin filled and having a tough time of it. So we're not going to go there. Now, are these the tracks from yesterday, or are these the tracks from now? Because there are tracks here for what look like shongile, but they look quite fresh, although there is a beetle of some sort. Oh, how am I going to do this, Seb? We've got a big tree on our left. But you can see them just over my shoulder over here. There are tracks for a little female leopard, which I would imagine is shongile. So there you can see them in that print. But you see there is a beetle. So this line here is going straight through the middle of that track. So you see there? Right through. So that means that that track was made this morning sometime, because beetles are generally active during the day. So that would have gone through during the day and kind of made that line. Or ants. I think it's actually ants. I lie, it is ants, not beetle. And so the ants have moved through during the day. So it's not from now. I wonder if these aren't the tracks of where she headed to where she was hunting, and then she was messing around in that area. And actually it might be worth going to go back and check very carefully that she didn't go southwards, because she might have run north in and sort of hunted and then come back out and headed south, and I might be wasting my time checking in these areas. So I'll go around and check one more time, but I'm going to carry on my route this way to get round the other side and see if there's maybe no sign of her actually at Vuurtela Dam. She might have gone round and down that way, but it's going to be so tough to find her if she's still inside here. We're going to have to wait for some alarm calls, I would imagine. What we need is for her to be lounging in a tree somewhere, or on a termite mound. That makes it a little bit easier for us to actually see her, and not in this long white grass. No, nothing there. So, Exquisite Bliss, you want to know how old Shongile is now? She's now 16 months, if I'm right. 16 or 17 months, somewhere there. I'm just trying to work it out in my head, but I think it's 16 or 17. So, they were born in 2016. The beginning of 2016, and so it's now the time now where we are at the moment would be the time that typically you would have seen a female leopard start evicting their cubs. So we would have seen Shongile starting to get kicked out by Karula now anyway. If Karula was still around and was in the area and looking after them, we would have seen this is now the time that she would have said, okay, right, you need to go off on your own and do your own thing. And so it's about right for her to be on her own, but it's going to be a while till she establishes a territory. I'd say probably another 6 months at the least, maybe a year, until she's able to be big enough to actually start finding somewhere for herself. If we take Nyala, for example, Nyala's still moving around on the northern side, Simambili, Elephant Plains. She goes into Ottawa, up into the Manyeleti. She's still not a settled leopard, and Nyala now is approaching almost 3.5, 4, so she's getting quite old, and she still doesn't really have a set territory of her own. So, you know, it's going to take Shongile a little bit of time, and hopefully she'll kind of carve out the territory around the camp that we're seeing now. The problem is that we've seen Thandi has been pushing in here quite a bit, and Thandi was in that sighting with her and Mvula the other day on the northern side of the camp. We've seen Shadow not too far from the camp as well, so she's going to have a little tough time with those two because they are much bigger than what she is, and so hopefully she'll be able to carve out a section in this area and be able to try and see if she can find somewhere to kind of settle. It would be nice if she took the northern side of Djuma and Thandi and Shadow on the southern side, and when Thandi and Shadow pass on, then she can shift southwards again back into the southern parts and keep Djuma as the center of her territory. That would be ideal, so let's hope for that. Oh, sorry, big bump. There we go. You still on board, Seb?
Yep.
You're very quiet in the back there today. You're looking? Ah, okay. Well, so while Seb and I look for spots in the grass, I believe Taylor has fought off gremlins once again. And so let's go across to her and see if she's got any tall tales of her battle and if she had to get the knives out to get rid of them.
No, not even one tall tale, Tristan. Oh, how's that for alliteration? Unfortunately, nothing, not even a bird in sight. So perhaps the gremlins have just stopped attacking us. Well, are not just attacking us, sorry, but also attacking the animals this afternoon. Maybe they're the cause of the wind. It's really unpleasant. So we drove all the way now up and down the various drainage lines, and we haven't had not even any tracks. It's quite sort of tough, but it's also not to be expected on a day like today. It's quite normal. And this is the hard thing, is that also the birds, they don't want to sit on the tops of the trees because most of them won't even be able to hold on. So we're just going along Central now. We're going to go back towards Vuyatela Dam. We've still got a way to go though, and hopefully, oh, hello. Never mind. We found animals. Good afternoon, Kudu. Does anybody else remember? I don't know why this has just popped up into my head. One of Taylor's many random things that she says all the time. But I just had a flashback to my school days where when you saw teachers, you would all say, "Good morning, Mrs. So-and-so." Craig, do you remember doing that? Or the way that I'd said good afternoon, Kudu. It was like, "Good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. Kudu." Well, I should say miss for some of them. But just for some of them sitting down, trying to keep out of the wind. That's also another tactic that the animals will use when they're trying to keep out of the horrible breeze. Well, it's not even a breeze. This terrible wind that we've got today. It's a good tactic, getting down nice and low, hiding amongst the grass. And they're also just using this time at the moment to rest, catch up on some much needed, sleep. But they don't typically sleep like you and I will sleep. And some of them are just ruminating at the moment, like this big cow who's standing side on from us. Look at that. Look at a big ball that she's chewing on right now. It almost looks like she's put way too much in her mouth. Lots of saliva as well, you can see. That's wonderful. That's very nice. There we go. She looks like she's almost finished though. So she'll probably chew that, swallow it, and then we'll watch her regurgitate the next piece. Let's see if the next one's coming up. I don't think you see it as well as you see with the giraffe. No, actually you see it even better. That was really cool. Now she's going to carry on. Look at all that saliva though. That's amazing. She's not fazed by us at all. She's not wasting any energy even to turn and look at us today. But her ears are hard at work, as were the Waterbuck's ears that we were looking at earlier. His ears were moving around too. And see how they're all facing different directions too. Also another strategy, an anti-predatory strategy. Not necessarily just for a windy day, but they'll typically stand like this, all facing different areas to make sure that they can keep an eye over everyone's shoulder. They might even take turns, some sitting down, resting, the others standing up, being a little bit more active. But they seem very, very relaxed at the moment. They don't look too frightened. Now I actually heard the sound that she heard. It sounded like a leaf maybe sort of blowing and hitting a branch, but you saw how she very quickly turned her head towards us. Now she's having a good old scratch behind those ears, and off they go again. Very quiet. She's being very careful, making sure she looks all over. But let's carry on. Let's see what else we can go and find. Just trying to think. We won't go down Vulture's Nest just yet. We will keep going towards the Wildebeest at Vuyatela Dam. Hopefully they're still around. I'm going to send you back across to Tristan now, who has got another animal doing the same thing that the kudu was.
Well, they are indeed. I think they're also trying to shelter a little bit from the wind, but they're not doing it very well at all. Our male zebra over pretty much the same way they went yesterday, and that northwestern corner, and quickly over into Manyaleti. So hopefully they'll be back tomorrow. It would be nice if they are. If there's a male in pursuit, I'm pretty sure Amber Eyes will not be so tolerant, and hopefully will bring the pride back this way by trying to get away from Mfumo and his attentions. You can see a little red-billed oxpecker having a peck at the tail. I suppose better at the tail than underneath the tail, like they sometimes do. Oh, no, be careful, you're going to get kicked shortly. So while they do form a good job, they sometimes can be a serious irritation, an oxpecker, and you can imagine when they go into your eyes and into your ears and up your nose, particularly if they've been pecking around at somebody else's rear end. It's not something you'd really want to go up your nostril or your eye or your ear, and so you'll find the zebras and the wildebeest and all the other animals often will chase them away. Now what you see there is very typical from zebra, and one of the few animals that actually stand like this for long periods of time is you'll find that they often are head to tail, and the reason for it is because they keep flies and various other insects that buzz around their head away from one another's head by swishing their tails. So you see each one swishes its tail, and often that then keeps things and movement around the head of the other one and stops flies from landing around their eyes and up their noses and keeps them sort of less irritated. But I can tell you it is blowing an absolute gale, and while I'm sitting here we are being covered in dust, so these poor guys must have had a tough day with all this wind. It's probably the worst part about our winter months is the wind that does come up. Laura Moore, you say it's so nice to see zebras. I know, it is very nice. We haven't seen too much of the zebras in the last few months, and the ones that we have seen all tended to be a little bit on the shy side, so these guys have been wonderful, and to see them kind of taking it very easy and resting and not moving away from us is very cool. Now you can see the hoof that Seb is showing you, and if we go up a little bit, Seb, look at how that leg moves. You see, so anytime an insect lands on it, there's an automatic reaction to try and chase it off. Now, unfortunately, it's not standing quite right. I wanted to show you a big calloused section on the inside of a zebra's leg, and there it is. I don't know if you just saw it very, very briefly. There was a little black dot as it kicked its leg forward, but that black dot is called a chestnut, and no one's 100% sure exactly how it forms, but they think it's from when zebras lie down. The hoof often rubs on the inside of the leg, then it forms this calloused patch on the inside, and that's where they get it from, and they're one of the few animals that has it. Horses get it, and donkeys, but zebras are the other ones, and it's probably due to the fact that they lie so often. Remember, zebras are an animal that spend a lot of time actually down on the ground. A lot of people don't know that, but zebras will dust bathe a lot and they lie down a lot, and you often find them during the middle parts of the day on the road or any sort of dusty surface, and they're rolling and they're sitting, and particularly the foals, they'll lie down and rest for long periods of time down there. But he is absolutely beautiful. And it's nice with the sort of grass, golden grass in the background, just breezing. You can see his ears are still working very hard as he listens to what's going on. With this wind, it's going to be tough for them. Oh, are you having a little groom? So let's see now, maybe we can... Oh no, he's moved his leg again. It was perfect. It was about to show that chestnut that I was talking about, and then he moved his leg back. Not being cooperative, are you, today? I suppose you are being somewhat cooperative by standing there. I think my favorite part of a zebra is that mane that Seb is showing us there. You can see the colors continue and the striping pattern goes up into the mane, and they get these white and black sort of fur that stands up. And the reason why the fur stands up is because of big fatty layers around those follicles that keeps the hair in a very straight position, and that's why it doesn't flop over like you see in horses. A little bit of snorting every now and then. I think that's because dust must be getting into their noses. It's certainly getting into my face and my eyes where I'm sitting, and it must be the same for them. They get big nostrils that they use to smell with. When the dust blows like this, it must get up there and cause an irritation. They also are very prone to having a fly larvae inside their nasal passages. It's often why you see them twitching their head and bobbing their heads when walking, and so sometimes you'll hear them snorting out. It's the same with wildebeest. They also have the same issue. So, Lisa, you're asking if these zebras are pregnant. Well, the one in front of her that we've been showing for a long period was the stallion, so he's definitely not pregnant. That one over there is a little bit young.
Sorry.
No, it's fine, don't worry. That one there is still young, so it's not going to be having a little one in it at all. So it's still not probably of age. But remember with zebras that they do present a much larger, rounded tummy than the other animals. And that's because, unlike wildebeest or impalas that are ruminants, these guys are not the same. They're hindgut fermenters, which means that they have to have a much bigger stomach area, like an elephant or a hippo, to be able to store enough food to get the nutrients that they need. So it's like a big vat that they push lots of food in, and that then causes a swelling. And they also have a bacteria that helps break down that grass, and that bacteria causes a lot of gas, so they bloat quite a bit. So none of them that I can see are pregnant at this stage. There might be the one at the far back on the left-hand side, so not those three, that one there. So that's why Seb was trying to show us. That one of all of them is probably the only one that is actually showing sort of any signs, but difficult to see now because the little one is in front. So hopefully they'll break apart and spread, and we'll be able to then see who it is and whether or not she is actually pregnant. You'll find when zebras are fully pregnant and almost at full term, it is amazing how big that stomach gets. There we go, there's a zebra lying down. We were talking about it earlier, and there we go. So they're quite prone to lying down, and that's why that hoof will rub on the inside of the leg quite a lot. But no, I don't know if she is pregnant. It is swollen, maybe early stages of pregnancy. It's maybe a little bit bigger than the rest of them. In fact, actually it is. Now that I look away from the screen, she could be at least pregnant with a foal, but not very close to giving birth, should I say. I think she's still a little bit of a way off. Right. Well, I think we're going to carry on. We're going to leave our guys to have a chilled afternoon. They seem to be super relaxed at this stage, so we're going to leave you guys and try and see if we can't carry on with our endeavors to find Shongile. So while I do that, let's go across to Miss McCurdy, who I believe has got a beautiful scene of herds of animals.
We do, and you're probably looking at the exact beautiful scene we're looking at. If you're watching the dam cam, it's very pretty with a sea of that golden grass, and of course it's littered with animals. Mainly impala and wildebeest, of course, but I'm sure that there's the odd Nyala, maybe even a bushbuck lurking in the thicket just behind them against that riverine. That would be a very good spot, of course, to go in. Now they're feeding right down on these sort of grasslands near the dam. Firstly, because it is so sheltered down there. It's a whole lot better than feeding up on Quarantine, or even just up where all the big knob thorns are, just slightly west of the dam. So it's a good spot. And then of course the grass is nice and short there too. The animals often come down and feed in these areas. The zebra are down here, they spend quite a bit of time. The impala, like I said, Nyala, bushbuck, they're all coming around. Now Craig, were there some more? What I want to do is I actually want to go up over there because I think we could get a closer view of some of the wildebeests. So let's go around. We'll go towards basically where the nest cam is, at the little pan. We've just got to get through this very, very bumpy section first. It would be nice to have a look. Maybe we can even have a look at a wildebeest track. Let's see if we can find one here. There are plenty, but I want to find a really good one. These ones are distorted by the wind. Actually, there's a good one. I found one that we can use. Okay, let me jump out. So we're gonna, I can hear Tristan. Oh, they're the zebras. I thought I could hear Tristan, and then I just saw the wagging tails of the zebra. They're just around the corner. I don't think you can see them. Now I have a question for you. We're going to play a little quiz here. Where's the nice track? Here we go. This one. Let's take a look at this track in here. So this is what I'm talking about. And I would like to know from you, is this the front or the back foot of a wildebeest? This is obviously a wildebeest track over here. So hashtag Safari Live and let us know what you think, if it is the front or the back foot. And then we'll try and find some more wildebeest tracks and we'll actually go into it a little bit more. I just want to see if there are any good ones around here while I'm out of the car so we can come back. The wind has just blown all the sand into them. We'll find some more. We should find some more, maybe on the road a little bit further. Okay, let me get plugged in, and I heard a wildebeest snorting at me now. Didn't like the fact that I was out the car. Too bad, wildebeest, too bad. They're my friends. Remember how we had so much fun with the zebras and the wildebeest on foot at one point? It was so great. I wonder where the McCurdy Herdie is, or how many of the McCurdy Herdie members are even still alive after the Nkuhumas seem to have enjoyed the taste of them for, well, over the last few weeks, last few months in fact. Let's go and position ourselves nicely, and we'll have a look at these wildebeest. Oh, there's even Impala. You might even see Impala on the nest cam. Hello guys. We'll look at the Impala first, and then we'll look at the wildebeest. Now look how clever these Impala are. Now you're probably thinking, are they looking for water in this muddy section? No, they aren't. It's obviously all dried up. Impala can't dig for water as elephants do, so it won't really help them. But look what's coming out of the ground. Look at all that lovely green vegetation. Now that is of course a very clever thing, and these three must be the smartest Impala I've seen out of the lot here. They're utilizing obviously quite a bit of moisture still in that clay, and all these little forbs are popping up, probably weeds actually more than anything. But sorry Alice, I can't hear you. Can I have those names? Can I just have the two that said? All right from Texas. And Yaku, you say that that wildebeest track was the front foot. Okay, you know what I want to do is we'll answer those questions in a moment, because I need to find some good tracks, back and front tracks to show you, but I'm not going to be able to get out right now because I am going to scare all the animals away, and I don't think that that will be too fair. Obviously I got out the car back there and they didn't mind me too much. I didn't realize that the zebra are just around the corner, but they didn't move at all. So we'll get to those tracking questions now. I just need to see if I can find some decent tracks, but let's have a look at the wildebeest so long. We'll have to go back around the corner again and try and find some. Now we're going to try and play spot the bull in this herd. You look like a cow. I'm trying to see, actually none of them look like bulls. And the group up top here, they all look like cows. They've got youngsters with them, so perhaps the bull is with the bulk of the herd down below us. But isn't that just gorgeous? I just always think that wildebeest are so beautiful, as are most of the animals in the golden grass, but typically elephants, rhinos, buffalo, anything that's black or grey, a nice contrasting colour into the golden grass. You can see one has even just taken a seat and decided, well, I'm going to sit down and give my legs a rest, but I'm still going to carry on eating. I'll just eat a ring around myself. And you can see there's lots of bald spots on this area too, and that's not just from the wildebeest grazing. And there are lots of different animals that will be feeding here. The Impala, of course, we see Nyala coming out into the open. Same thing with the bushbuck, and then of course the warthogs are also responsible for taking this grass right down to a short level. Then not forget those stripy animals that Tristan had not so long ago. I'm sure that they were here at one point too. But they don't seem too perturbed at all. They're very relaxed with their surroundings. It is a nice open area though, so I reckon it would be quite difficult for something like a lion. There isn't very much grass around. Also, there are lots and lots of different animals about here. Lots of Impala, lots of wildebeest, as we of course have been seeing. So I think that they are, well, lucky in the sense. They've chosen wisely. They've chosen a good spot to, of course, feed. Now, Jackie, you're wondering if these wildebeest migrate at all. They're constantly doing mini migrations, but not to the extent and not with the numbers like you've been seeing in Kenya with the rest of the team. It's not necessary for them to do that here. Obviously, when we have a serious drought, then the conditions are really terrible but there's very little that we can do, and then there's almost no food and no water around for them, and unfortunately there isn't really anywhere to go, which is not great, and that's when you see those mass migrations up in Kenya. So what they do is the animals, just as the animals all over the rest of Africa follow the rains, these guys do exactly the same thing. So that's why you'll go a few weeks and you won't see any wildebeest at all. You'll just be like, where on earth have they disappeared? And they might just be a couple of kilometers north from here, or perhaps south, down towards the big river systems. We always say that with the elephants typically will start now moving from drainage system to drainage system, trying to find active, rivers, firstly, because it's nice fresh water to drink from, and then lots of lovely, lush vegetation. There's a squirrel alarming up here, but nobody else is paying it any attention, so perhaps it means something like bird of prey or snake that maybe the wildebeest and impala wouldn't necessarily be too worried about, even though impala lambs are often taken by martial eagles. They wouldn't necessarily alarm like they would for a leopard or a lion or a hyena. They haven't even picked up their heads to listen to what the squirrels are saying. And remember, they can all communicate with each other. So even though to us it might sound like they're speaking completely different languages, they're able to chat to one another. Now I'm going to try and find some good example here. It's such a pity. Maybe might not be able to get out. I'm just trying to see, because I don't want to disturb these wildebeest. But maybe if I shelter myself with a car and hide behind this guarri tree, we'll be able to do some tracks. So, sorry Alice, before I jump out, we had, what were the two names that said front foot? All right from Texas, and Yaku, you said front foot, which is 100% correct. That is exactly the track that we saw there. And now I'm going to show you why it was a front foot. So I'm just going to try and creep now, because I've got to use this tree for a little bit of protection. So the footprint that we were looking at, I don't think was necessarily an adult. It wasn't particularly big. We're now going to look at tracks that are slightly larger, so keep that in mind though as well, because that was a smaller track. It also could have been from a female, but typically if you look here, the front foot, just like lions and leopards and hyenas, all their power is in their shoulders. You often see with the wildebeest how they're sloping back to antelope, their backs sort of taper down towards the end, and all that muscle being concentrated in their shoulders, so naturally their front feet are going to be slightly larger than the back foot. So here's a back foot here. This looks like a wildebeest, a bull. This is quite a large track. And then if you look just here is the back foot. You see that? Not quite as big, and also slightly more narrow as well. But this is from a big wildebeest. Like I said, the one that we saw over there was either a juvenile or maybe even a female. It was quite small, so it might look slightly different. And again, tracks vary also from the different types of substrate that they move around in. So on soft sand like this, a track could look slightly different than something in mud. Or if you have a lot of sand, coarse sand, if animals walking through a riverbed, that track will be completely distorted, and often it's quite difficult to be able to tell what else. There was another track here that I wanted to ask you what you thought it was. Just see if I can find it. I think I may have actually squashed it, which is a pity. No, I didn't. Here. Can you see this one, Craig? Is that fine? So look there. I'm gonna draw the outline. I want to know who has left this footprint on the ground. Just going to outline it for you so that you can see it, because it has been disturbed slightly by the wind. I'll even put my hand here just to give you a reference and a scale. You can see it's nowhere near the size of my hand, but it's also not a particularly small track. So hashtag Safari Live with what you think left that on the ground. And you can use, one thing you must remember about tracking, and we always talk about it, is don't just focus on the one track. Obviously you're not here to get out the car and have a look around to see if you can find any other footprints or dung that could help you in identifying what footprint that is, but just think about what animals you've seen around at the dam. What are the most common ones? And that should help you out. I look forward to hearing some of the answers. So well done to the two of you that got it right. I'm sure there were quite a few of you that managed to guess correctly too. So well done. It's actually surprised that some of these tracks are actually holding, so perhaps they're relatively fresh. Maybe the wildebeest have just walked here. Look at this. I really like this little one. It's not a little one, it's an adult. But the way that is sitting. Oh, no, she's getting up. Sorry. I didn't mean to disturb you. You just look so comfortable. I was actually a little bit jealous that you were sitting there like that. I wish I could join you. Aren't they beautiful animals? Now, John, you're wondering why their front feet larger than their back feet. Well, I did say just a moment ago that they're also known as sloping-backed antelope. So all their power is in their shoulders. Like most animals, typically the front feet will be larger. So that's really the reason why. Now, one of my favorite species of wildebeest is the black wildebeest, and they're really funny. It's quite funny why they're called black wildebeest. You'd think that these ones shouldn't be called blue gnu. They should be the black wildebeest because of their coloration. I've never seen a blue tinge in a blue wildebeest. That's one of the theories behind it. Also, I've heard that they say that their dung has a blue sheen to it. Never seen that one before. And perhaps you need to use your imagination even more than I'm normally capable of doing. But the black wildebeest are much smaller in size, and their horns point forward, and they've got a white tail, so that makes it very easy to tell the difference. But my favorite part of a black wildebeest is the tuft of hair that is sort of between the eyes and on the front of the face. That's really cool. Now this one's having a dust bath. We often see birds having dust bath, but elephants have dust bath, zebras have dust bath, and so do wildebeest. It's very good to cover yourself in a fine coat of powder, and that of course helps get rid of the parasites. Wonderful. Now apparently there's some answers coming through as to who you thought left those tracks in the sand. I'm just waiting for Alice to tell me what they are. Ooh, all right from Texas, Exquisite Bliss and Zena, you said that you thought that track was an Impala track. Unfortunately, you do not get the award. Sphinx, you've said zebra. Unfortunately not. I'll see if I can find a zebra track from you. Sphinx, actually a zebra track looks completely different. You know what a horse footprint looks like in the ground? It looks fairly similar, one without shoes of course. Let's see if anyone's going to get it right. Now James and Francis from Israel say Nyala. You're definitely using your brains now and listening to what I'm saying. This is actually really, I'm happy about that. It means that sometimes you do listen to the things that I say. So you're starting to think out of the box and you use the animals that we see often around the dam. So unfortunately also Nyala was incorrect, but we have a correct answer from Pre-Dawn. He said Waterbuck. Well done. Very heart-shaped track, very similar to the Impala, except the size is so much smaller. The Impala track is really quite tiny compared to a big Waterbuck track. Now I wanted to show you a zebra footprint, but again I think no, there's a decent one over here. Where's a goodie? They're right. I wonder if I haven't parked too close. Make sure we don't get the sun. Our shadow in the track. So if you look over here, it's slightly distorted again just because it's so windy. But there's one. It's actually, this one is superimposed because there's two tracks on it, so it's difficult to say. But here's one foot here, and then the other foot comes over it. So quite round. I'm trying to see if I can find a better one. That was a horrible example of a zebra track there. Also, not as fresh. Look how fresh my footprints are. And you can see how nicely they are in the sand. But the zebra tracks, obviously they walked here a little while ago. I can't find a good one for you. But they look just like a horse footprint in the sand. What was that noise? Who's snorting at me? I can't tell who's snorting at me. Impala. Let's go and investigate. I think they're shouting because of me, but it looks like two rams maybe having a bit of an argument as well. Yeah, they're oh wow. Hold on. I'm gonna just pull off over the side here. You've got to be sneaky with Impala rams. They can't know that you're watching. These two boys are clashing horns. So they snorted at me because I got out the car. I didn't even see them there. But let's see if they're going to butt heads again. Every time I try and watch this while I'm live, I never get a good opportunity to. Aren't those two beautiful boys? Don't mind us, you carry on. Oh, they're uncertain. They're snorting at each other too. There we go, look at all the dust. That's actually very, very pretty in that lovely sort of light now, and of course all the dust that they're going to kick up. So if they do lock horns, it could be quite dramatic. It would be very nice, and I was hoping that we were going to get this the other day, actually yesterday afternoon, when was it yesterday or was it the day before, Craig, when we did the pre-show? And we thought that we were live the entire time, but we weren't. We were trying to get two Impala rams fighting. 2 days ago. My goodness, time flies out here. Not typical. These boys are not going to clash heads. Why? I'm not even surprised. Don't do it behind that tree. Come on. It's a massive open plain, and of course they choose the one tree and the only termite mound to play behind. That's not nice. And I know what happens if we try and reposition. They're going to stop what they're doing and they're going to look at us again. And I'm hoping that they'll start settling down with us being around and start ignoring us, which they would typically will do. If they want to, go to the left, please. Go to the left. A couple of birds also flying around. Some starlings, a drongo. Yes, good boys. Some lapwings too. They want to. Everyone seems to be coming in to watch the show now. Perhaps they're placing their bets on the illegal Impala fighting. Not that they're doing a very good job at the moment. They look like Senegal lapwings. Was it a Senegal or was it a crowned? I can't even see. No, maybe it's crowned. Maybe it's just the light. No, it is crowned. Had a moment there. Unfortunately, there's quite a bit of glare on the monitor. Sometimes I can't see all the birds when we're so far away. Come on, boys. We're sitting here waiting for the two of you to put on a show for us, and you're being quite disappointed. You're the main attraction this afternoon. Step up your game. Or as Kirsten always says, one of the directors, be better. There we go. Good boys. I'm actually going to sit quietly because I want you to hear the sounds of their horns when they clash. Hopefully it's louder than the wind. Now they're equal size, look at that, in terms of muscle and horn size and shape. Both very good looking Impala rams. So if they were to have a serious fight, which it doesn't look like it's actually too serious, it would be very impressive. Steph, you said their silhouette with their horns is amazing. They're very striking antelope. You know what, they might not have all the beautiful colors like an Nyala or a Kudu has on their bodies. However, they definitely do make it up with their slick, chic, shiny coats, and of course always a very impressive set of horns. And these, like I said, these are two striking males. Stopping to have an itch. Now you see, if this was a serious fight, an itch, you know, anything like this, they wouldn't worry about it at all. They would just continuously keep locking horns. You can see they're taking breaks. They might stop, have a little snack here and there. They wouldn't ever they would not let the flies bother them either. Boys, are you gonna? Nah, they're not. Now they're not playing because we're watching them, of course. Let's see what else we can find. I haven't quite decided where we're going to go just yet. Oh my goodness, not sure just yet where we go. Now this fence over here, in case you're wondering what this fence is, this is just for the owner's house, the landowners of Djuma, Yuri and Pippa. They stay in here, so they put a big electric fence around their house, not just a 3-strand elephant wire like it's around the lodge. Leopards can still get in, and Kudu could jump over that fence quite easily, but it normally is quite good at keeping the rest of the animals out. Tristan has been tracking. He's very good at tracking too. Hopefully he's going to find whatever animal has left those footprints in the sand.
do. There's more tracks here. There's tracks for Shongile everywhere. It seems like she's had a wonderful time walking around here today. So I wonder where she is. She looked as though Ali actually sent me a video of where exactly she was when she saw her, but it looks as though she was running up and down chasing things, and so the chances of finding her is going to be quite tough because the tracks are just up and down all over the place. So hopefully what's going to happen is she's going to just kind of pop out somewhere as it gets a little bit cooler, or she's going to show herself to another animal, and that's going to shout and make a bit of noise, and that's how we're going to try and find her. I'm just slowly meandering up along Viertela axis just to check in case she hasn't come further west, because I haven't really looked this side much, but I see there are tracks all over the place for her running around here, so she must be here somewhere. It's just a matter of finding her, which we shall do, I'm sure. I have a good feeling that we will find her eventually. Patience is rewarded, so, and at least the tracks are not heading towards an area where we can't go. They're right in the center of Djuma, so we have lots of space to work with, which is fantastic. What is this flying here now? Brown snake eagle, by the looks of it. Yes, brown snake eagle. That is flying over there. You can see by those almost whitish colored wings that you could see there was a little bit of sort of translucence about the wings, and then that long big wedge tail that they've got is very indicative of a brown snake eagle, and it's one of the eagles we'll see the most at this time of the year. They hang around all year. You'll find the bateliers, the brown snake eagles, what else hangs around? Marshals, tawnies. Those are the kind of eagles that we tend to see a lot of at this time of the year. Now, this is quite cool because it ties into what we were seeing just now. So, in front of me, if you look on the road, there's a little pattern that's going across the road in the middle, and that snake eagle, that's exactly what it's looking for. There we go. So that is a track for a snake going across the road at some speed. You can actually see it's pushed up little mountains of sand as it's trying to push across the road. So it's winding its way quickly to cross the road because it knows as it goes across the road it's very exposed, and that means things like the snake eagle, which is flying up there, if it sees it coming on the road, it's going to fly down and grab it while it's there. So that's why the snake crosses very quickly. As to which snake it could be, difficult to say. That S sort of shape of movement is common amongst most of our snakes. The only snakes that really don't go like that are the puff adder and the python. They tend to have a more linear track that they leave behind because they move walking on their ribs, whereas the other snakes will curl and swirl like that and move across. It's another snake track. So with this warm weather, I wouldn't be surprised if the snakes are actually quite active, moving around, and if there's a cold front coming, they are going to get into sort of areas where they can be away from the low lying. They get up to higher points where they can find thickets, and then they get in there to rest and wait for the warmer weather to come back. Now Alice is saying to me tomorrow is snake day, which is good to hear, Alice, so we'll try and find all things snaky tomorrow. Maybe we can even convince Miss McCurdy to wear a snake outfit. She always loves getting into some sort of outfit for World whatever animal it is day. She likes doing it. I know as a butterfly, she dressed up like a butterfly, so maybe we'll dress up as slithering serpents tomorrow. I'm not actually sure how we would dress up as a slithering serpent. Maybe we should be like Medusa and have little fake snakes coming off of our heads for the drive. I think that's a good idea. Snake print was pretty fashionable in the 90s, according to Alice. Alice is now giving us the fashion that we need to know. So, well, Alice, do we have snake print? Does anyone have snake print that we can wear? I certainly don't have snake print, and I would doubt that if Alice did have snake print that I would even be remotely fitting in my one arm into it, because Alice is a lot smaller than I am. Oh, there's some nice birds there. So we're going to check with Chantal. She's just got back from leave if she doesn't potentially have some snake print outfits. Now there's a ground scraper thrush sitting there. That's a starling that we've got there. No, that's okay, don't stress. So that's the Birchall starling, and then to the left of that, yep, that one. No, that's a bit of dung. Oh. A little bit further left. A little bit more. There it is. So there's our ground scraper thrush. Very common to see them, as the name suggests, mostly on the ground, running around, trying to find food. And I always like them. They've got these white chests with the spots and then the bars around the eyes. And they're a fairly common bird that you see on quarantine and open clearings like this, disturbed areas. They like to sort of hunt around in here and find what they need. And you'll often see them close to other animals, much like the starlings and the flycatchers and the drongos that will hawk insects as they are disturbed. So you'll see the same thing with the ground scraper thrushes. They do use animals to find food from time to time, and they also know that animals defecate and insects are attracted to that, and they can then go and grab what they need. Typical thrush running pattern, you'll find all the thrushes run when they're on the ground. They don't hop very much, and then that very blunted beak that the thrushes do have. Nice. They're actually normally quite shy birds. Help. Yeah, well, I'm sure you are. It's always nice when we can add birds to the list. Now, I've got one sneaky hair that is coming out of my cap, so if you see me fiddling around with my cap, it's because one of my hairs has just come out and is flapping around in the breeze and irritating me somewhat, so just trying to tuck that back in and make sure it doesn't get out of control. No one likes an out of control hair in the afternoon safari. Seb, when you had long hair, how was it on safari? Was it tough? Was it a pain? Or was it not so bad?
Once you're on safari, but before, when you wash it.
When you wash it, is that where it's painful? So long hair.
Oh, it takes so much
time and energy.
Yeah.
Too much. Well, I can imagine. And a lot of hair products. Yes, one has to have healthy looking hair and locks when out on safari. No one likes to see dusty, matted hair, so I'd imagine the girls in our camp must have a tough time, and Brent, because I'm not that Brent is a girl, before anybody jumps to conclusions, although, you know, sometimes and I'm joking. But I would imagine the girls have a tough time in winter trying to keep their hair clean. And Gendre, yes, Gendre, well, actually Gendre doesn't really matter, because Gendre just kind of has his own regime when it comes to hair and keeping it clean and sorting it out. So Chantal, you're safe. Now Chantal's back from leave. Hello Chantal, I haven't even seen you, so hello, I hope you had a nice leave and that you enjoyed yourself in Cape Town and that you are happy to be back. Ah, she says hello. That's good. I'm glad that Chantal's back. It's always nice when we get people back. So Connor went on leave today, and Innocentia and Chantal came back. So we lost one and gained two today, which means hopefully the two of them will bring a bit of vibe back to the camp. From their leave, I'm sure there'll be lots of stories to be told and lots of nice things to be said, and it's always good to catch up with everyone when they get back from their leaves. Now, we were talking about hair and products on the hair and long hair, and well, there's a member of the Djuma team that has flowing long locks that are golden colour and must be reflecting the sun's rays this afternoon, and I'm sure Miss McCurdy, wherever she may be, is battling with the dust and the wind, but is waving her hair about like she just doesn't care.
Ah, Tristan, you set yourself up for that one, didn't you? So you could say that. Yes, can you believe that out of the female presenters, I have got the shortest hair? Can you believe that? Ali and Jamie's hair is almost twice the length of mine, and I've got a lot of it too, which is quite crazy. So we always laugh when it's hair washing day in camp, because it takes me, I can't even tell you how long it takes to actually wash my hair. I did it today, and thank goodness for the wind, because it helped me dry it quite quickly as well. Actually, that's the only time I've enjoyed the wind today, was the fact that it helped me get my hair to dry naturally, which is nice. What do we got here? Magpie Shrikes and a starling. Maybe they're going to have a fight. Yes, they are going to have a fight. They didn't seem to like each other too much. The starling came right across to the magpie shrike, the one with the long tail, and wanted to chase it away at a point. No, it's now ducked. Aha! says the magpie shrike. I win. I am the king of the castle. Again, another animal you can use to try and tell the direction of the wind this afternoon. Their long tails. Who needs a windsock? At an airport, you just got to have some magpie shrikes sitting on a line of some sort. And it would work very, very well. They are lovely, lovely birds, though. Very interesting to watch. My goodness, I don't know if it purposefully flew off of that branch or if it just got blown off by a gust of wind and then just thought, oh well, we'll just go anywhere. Into the distance we go. That might be something quite funny to do today, is to see if we can get birds flying. It's difficult, of course, to try and find birds that are sitting still in trees, but it is really hilarious to watch, and I particularly enjoy watching the doves when they try and fly during the wind. They sort of come in one way and then the next minute they're there, then they're there, and then they just have to quickly land or try and land in a tree and escape. Now I think what we're going to do now, I want to go and check on my num-num tree. Well, it's not my num-num tree, it's nature's num-num tree, but the Carissa bispinosa plant, I want to see if any fruits have ripened yet. It's been actually I don't know how long it's been since I was last there. Maybe about a week, maybe just shy of a week. So we'll go in and have a look, and if they're hopefully... Oh, family of warthogs, I'm so sorry, warthogs. I almost drove into you. You were so camouflaged sitting on the road like that. But they don't seem to be too bothered that they just had a near-death experience. I wasn't going fast, so don't worry. Even when I put my foot on the brakes, luckily they're working today. I stopped pretty quickly. I was only going about 15 kilometers an hour. Whew. Luckily we were chasing after wild dogs. But they are quick off the mark anyway. They would have got out the way. But how great is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 youngsters and 2 adults. Isn't that nice? Now, the sow that's closest to us, I don't think she's quite as old as the other one that's just moved off and out of frame now. Her tusk size seems to be slightly smaller, and including her body size. But the females don't get massive. The males are the ones that are enormous, almost twice the size of that girl, probably actually 2.5 times the size of her. And then Craig, look, we've just got one bottom on the left. On the other left? Yeah, that's left, Craig. Batman's sleeping today. He had his wings over his head, he was taking a quick nap. But I think that's quite funny. I think it's realized. Maybe we get another view of them here. No, they're hiding away. It's a bit thick. They've gone into the thicket. They're actually heading down towards the drainage line now. I wonder if they have a mound somewhere around here that they're using. I can't imagine that they'd stay out for too long today. I think they'd go back to their house a little bit earlier and they burrow somewhere around here. A couple of big termite mounds that I'm sure would be very, very nice homes for these warthogs. Getting cold quite quickly. They don't like to stay out when it is freezing. Alright, let's carry on. Let's see if I can remember where the plant is. Remember that day when I spent about 20 minutes trying to find the num-num tree? That was funny, wasn't it? I loved it. I was so happy that day. But now that I know where it is, well, I say this and then watch, I probably won't be able to find it today. It made it a lot easier, but it should just be around the bend next to a mud wallow that Tingana normally likes to drink out of in the summer months when it does have water in it. Then we're just going to go likely to the south of that. It should be around the next quarry tree. Let me see if I'm right. Maybe they're around the next one. A little bit further on. No, it's here.